Sebetachim gam yachad, Hema tovu manayim, Sebetachim gam yachad.
To be a Jew is to open eyes when others close them, to hear when others do not wish to listen, to look when others turn away, to seek to understand when others give up, to rouse oneself when others accept, to continue the struggle even when one is not the strongest, to cry out when others keep silent. To be a Jew is that. It is first all of that, and further, to live when others are dead, and to remember when others have forgotten. I invite up my aunt and uncle, Martha and Eddie Kress, to present my colleagues.
The talit you are about to receive is heavy, even if the material is light. The meaning to something we pray you will feel very deeply. We pray that you feel protected and safe in your talit, that you only know the pride and joy it holds. The talit we're giving you is very meaningful to our family. 102 years ago, your great-great-grandparents, Oscar and Fanny Colton, started a journey from the Ukraine to come to America. This journey took them 9 years, with an 8-year stop in Cherbourg, France, because the steamship company went back. And the only thing they were allowed to take when they left the Ukraine was one suitcase each. And your great-great-grandfather, Oscar Colton, brought this talit with him for his journey. They arrived in Dayton, Ohio in October 1929. And our family has had a presence in this community since. And with much love, we give you this talit and pass the family tradition on. We're very proud of it.
Strings are tied in a special way and remind us that we're tied to each other, tied to Jewish history, tied to God. We present you with this talit with a heart full of hope and full of anticipation for the person you love and coming. May you feel lifted.
As it rests on your shoulders, may you feel your family's love every time you wear this talit. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu v'yitatei v'tzitzit. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with mitzvot and commands us to wrap ourselves in the fringed talit.
I cannot see the wind at all or hold it in my hand, and yet I know there is a wind because it swells beneath the sand. I know there is a wondrous wind because I glimpse its power whenever it bends low a tree or sways the smallest flower. And God is very much like this, invisible as air. I cannot touch or see God, yet I know that God is here. God is there, because I glimpse God's wondrous works and goodness everywhere. Please rise for the Amidah.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tita. Na 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 Ufi. tehillattecha. Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana Svatai Tiftach. Ananananana Ufi Agi Tehillattecha. Adonai Eloheinu Eloheinu Imoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora El Elyon Omer Chasadim Tovim Bekonei Yaakov V'zocher Chatzei Avot V'imot U'milah V'bneihem Elman Shmo V'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Malkein Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Agibor Leolam Adonai Nechayei Hakol Atorah Shia V'Kalkel Chayim V'Chesed Nechayei Hakol V'Rachamim Omer Nofli V'Rofet Odim U'Matir Asurim U'Mechayei Emnato Yishenei Afar Michamocha Hagilurot U'Midomela Melech Memi U'Mechayeh U'Matzliach Yeshua Baruch Atah Adonai Nechayei Hakol.
God, everywhere we feel your God, everywhere we turn, we feel your power and your holiness. We feel you with us when we hear a newborn baby cry. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. We feel you with us when we touch a soft flower. Holy, holy, holy. We feel you with us when we see a rainbow after a storm. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. We feel you with us when we are loving in love. Holy, holy, holy. We feel you with us when we do a mitzvah, a commanded deed. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. We praise you, eternal God. Everywhere we turn, you are there. Please be seated. I invite up our good family friend, Lori Ramsey, to read.
What does peace look like? It looks like Jacob and Esau hugging after many years apart. It looks like brothers and sisters getting along. It looks like two countries signing a peace treaty. What does peace sound like? It sounds like kind words on a bad day. It sounds like a sincere apology and a promise to try harder. It sounds like people who are different trying to understand each other. What does peace feel like? It feels like Joseph's tears when he is reunited with his brothers. It feels like people going outside without being afraid. It feels like everything is going to be okay.
Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Hasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Hasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon Lecho HaShalom. Ki atahu melech adon Lecho HaShalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Hasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Hasim Leolam. V'tov b'neinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol lev ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Grant us peace. Grant all the world peace. Grant your people peace, and give us the strength to pursue it all the time. We pause for private prayer.
This is the moment as time rolls by for my silent prayer to Adonai. Prayer of thanks for all my blessings, prayer of compassion for all in need, a prayer of knowledge for I keep guessing, a prayer between God and me. Close your eyes, say a prayer. Adonai will be there. Prayer of thanks for all my blessings, prayer of compassion for all in need, a prayer of knowledge where I keep guessing, a prayer between God and me, prayer between God and me, prayer between God and me.
We continue the service for reading the Torah. I invite my parents.
Jake, this is our Torah. Its words are the same ones that your ancestors read. In all times and in all places, may its words never change. May your children and grandchildren, and their children and grandchildren, read its words as well. In this scroll is everything that has guided your people from Mount Sinai until today. Torah teaches all peoples love and justice, goodness and hope and freedom. It is your family's dream that you will be filled with its values.
So we welcome up to Crescent, who will represent your grandparents and your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents all the way back to Ukraine. We We invite them up to pass the Torah to you. And we rise. Vador, we say, from generation to generation. And just as you heard when you received your talis, this isn't just parents and your grandparents, your aunt and uncle representing your grandparents handing it to you. This goes back to Ukraine, to the ancient people, all the way to Moses. This is the teaching that will make you a Jewish man, and we are so proud to hand it to you.
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad Eloheinu, Adon Adonenu, Adon Shalom. It is the tree of life to those that hold fast to it. All of its supporters are happy. It is the tree of life to those that hold fast to it. All of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. Eitz Chaim Ila Machazikim Abetombecha Me'ushar Eitz Chaim Ila Machazikim Abetombecha Me'ushar. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is the tree of life to those that hold fast to it. All of its supporters are happy. It is the tree of life to those that hold fast to it. All of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom.
My Torah portion is called Kedoshim, the Holiness Code. It describes the ways that we can make our lives holy.
Well, Jake, we've arrived at your Torah service. I know I've spent many hours on Zoom and in person getting ready for you to read from the Torah. So for our first aliyah representing your grandparents, we call for it Aunt Maria and Uncle Eddie, right? Those are who's standing behind you. Turn around. Make sure that's who it is. We say Ya'amod, Miriam bat Avram Basidi, Edelmeyer ben Davi, Balia HaTorah.
Adonai Hambarah,
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarah Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'char banu mikol ha'amim, v'nilchamanu et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai, noten ha'Torah.
Amen. All right, Jake.
Vadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael. Va'amarta alehem kedoshim tihiu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Ish imo ve'aviv tira'u ve'et shabtotai tishmaru ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'alilim ve'lochei masecha lo ta'asu lachem ani Adonai Elohechem. My grandpa Tom Butel will translate my Torah reading.
God said to Moses, "Speak to the entire community of Israel. Tell them, you people are to be holy because I, Adonai, your God, am holy. Every one of you is to revere his father and mother, and you are to keep my Sabbaths. I am Adonai, your God. Do not turn to idols and do not cast metal gods for yourselves. I am Adonai, your God."
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, hayei olam natan k'tofenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
I invite up my mom and dad.
Read nothing about Miriam and Brian, the Aliyah Hashmiyah Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hamborah.
Baruch
Adonai Hamborah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamborah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Lo tignavu, v'lo tachachashu, v'lo tishakru, ish ba'amito. V'lo tishavu, bishmi la'sheker, v'chilalta et shem Elohecha ani Adonai. Lo ta'ashok et reacha, v'lo tigzol, lo talin, pe'ulat sahir itcha ad boker. Lo tipalel cheresh v'lifnei aver. Lo titain michshol li'areta Elohecha ani Adonai. Lo tisa avel b'mishpat. Lo tisa b'nei dol. Lo tehdar b'nei gadol. B'tzedek tishpot amitecha. Lo telech rachil Yavamecha. Lo ta'amod al dan re'echa ani Adonai. Lo tisna et achicha Yavavecha tochiach et amitecha. Lo tisa alav chet. Lo tikom v'lo titor et b'nei amecha v'ahavta v'reacha kamocha ani Adonai.
Do not steal from, defraud, or lie to each other. Do not swear by my name falsely, which would be profaning the name of your God. I am Adonai. Do not oppose or rob your neighbor. Specifically, you are not to keep back the wages of a hired worker all night until morning. Do not speak a curse against a deaf person or place an obstacle in the way of a blind person. Rather, fear your God. I am Adonai. Do not be unjust in judging. Show neither partiality to the poor nor deference to the mighty, but with justice judge your neighbor. Do not go around spreading slander among your people, but also don't stand idly by when your neighbor's life is at stake. I am Adonai. Do not hate your brother in your heart, but rebuke your neighbor frankly, so that you won't carry sin because of him. Don't take vengeance on or bear a grudge against any of your people. Rather, love your neighbor as yourself. I am Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
How would you invite up your brother to hold the other side when you're out? Unscripted. All right, Jake, now it's time to call you to the Torah, your first aliyah as bar mitzvah. So we invite you, who are already standing here. Ya'amod, Yaakov ben Rivka Fega v'Brian la'aliyah Torah l'bar mitzvah. Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam ha'ed. Amen.
V'hi yagor itcha ger ba'artzachem, lo tonu oto ha'ezrach ikem yeh lachem. Hager hagar itchem ve'ahavta lo kamocha ki yerim hayitem ve'eretz Mitzrayim ani Adonai Elohechem. Lo ta'asu Babel, Bamishpat, Bamidah, Bamishpah, Bamsurah, Oznei, Tzedek, Avnei, Tzedek, Efat, Tzedek, Jahan, Tzedek, Yeh, Lachem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher, Hoteki Etchem, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Yishmartem, Et Ho Chukotai, Ve'ahavta, Ve'et Ho Mishpotai, Ve'ashitem, Otam, Ani Adonai.
If a stranger stays with you in your land, do not do him wrong. Rather, treat the stranger staying with you like the native born among you. You are to love him as yourself, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Adonai, your God. Don't be dishonest when measuring length, weight, or capacity. Rather, use an honest balance scale, honest weights, an honest bushel dry measure, and an honest gallon liquid measure. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Observe all my regulations and rulings, and do them. I am Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. We take a moment as we turn to all of those who are in need of a special blessing for healing, whether it's healing of the body or healing of the soul, healing of the spirit or healing of the mind. For all those who are in need of this special blessing, we bring them into our heart and into our midst as we recall this blessing for the Bishabeh.
Yishebera Avotenu Mikor Habrecha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebera imotenu Ekor Abrecha Neavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with Ruach Lema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim, blessed are you, God, healer of the sick.
I now invite my uncle Kevin Shore and my aunt Molly Siegel to lift and dress the Torah. My brother Carter will help my cousin Levi open the ark. Please rise.
It's fine. Makatim kecha meusharet aini. Makazikim avetom kecha meushar. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom, shalom. Makazikim avetom kecha meusharet aini. Makazikim avetom kecha meushar. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom.
The XOXO in person.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming. This is a big part of my life, and you all helped it happen. You being here is a big motivation for me. The people who traveled here from a somewhat far place, thank you for taking the time and effort to be here. Mom, you helped with all the planning and ideas for what the food should be and what decorations should be on the table. Dad, thank you for always being there for me and giving me more video game time. And Carter, I love you so much and thank you for being in my everyday life. Nana and Papa, I love you guys so much. All of my other family members, thank you all for coming and I love you all. Thank you to my friends for being here with me today, and all of you have made a huge impact in my life. Merrick, Jason, and Simon love talking in Hebrew, like Sheket Bavakasha, which means quiet please. They always like when I bring up anything that has to do with Judaism. All of my friends that go to Watts make school something to look forward to, and my other friends that don't go to Watts, you guys are the same, and I'm just as good as friends with you as I am with my Watts friends. Thank you, Rabbi Adriel and Rabbi Tessin, for helping me with my Torah portion. Rabbi Chesson helped me on every stages of my Torah and the planning, and Rabbi Israel helped me with the later stages of my Torah practice every week and the blessings. Did someone say Torah portion? Well, my Torah portion is about being a good person and what not to do. To me, it means always telling the truth and being kind to others. Sometimes I tell the truth to my parents, but I know I can do better. When I lie to them, I feel bad and I know it's wrong, and I want to try better from now on. When I'm kind to others, like when I compliment or I'm friendly to them, it makes me feel good inside. The Torah I just read out of is 350 years old and survived the Holocaust. It lived in a small Jewish community in Kotovy, Czechoslovakia. The Nazis came and destroyed the Jewish cities, but around 2,000 Torahs were saved. This one ended up in a synagogue in London to be stored, and a Torah scribe came to fix the Torah, and it made it to this synagogue right here. As a bar mitzvah, reading out of this Torah is very meaningful. Reading out of this Torah today makes me feel like I am reading with all the other Jews that read out of this Torah before me. It is meaningful to me because it is an honor to read out of something that is so important in Jewish history. I couldn't be more delighted to read out of the Torah. So, a mitzvah is when you do a good deed or a commandment. My mitzvah is volunteering at Four Paws and playing with the dogs. If you don't know what Four Paws is, it is a place where they breed and train dogs to be service dogs. These dogs can change people's lives forever. They can alert someone nearby, if the owner is having a heart attack or a stroke, and help people with bad anxiety feel better. I have been taking them outside and playing with them. I can play fetch, run around with them, or even hug them. They are all very good dogs, and I love helping out around there. I like helping there because it makes me feel like a good person, and that is what my Torah portion is mainly about, being a good person. To me, being Jewish means becoming a better person every day. It means filling your day with joy and kindness. It means having a different point of view on life. To be a better person, you have to try. You don't just magically become better. In order to make the most out of your life, you must find the good in a bad day. Pretend like the bad is not there. Look at your life like you would look at your family. See the greatness in life like you would see it in your family. And make the most out of it. That is what being Jewish means to me. Again, thank you all for coming and being the good in my life.
So how hard it was for you to turn around to read something. Okay. So Jake, this morning, Rabbi Azrael reminded me that we are just a few minutes away from the Kentucky Derby run. Yeah. Are you going to be watching it or having a party? Okay. This is the Run for the Roses. And of course, last week we had the bar mitzvah of the Rose family, so we missed it by a week. Anyways, today is the day that horses run to reach the first of the Triple Crown. And I figure that as a track runner yourself, you probably relate to all the horses who are lined up and ready to go, just like you were lined up and ready to go a few hours ago. But there is a huge distinction between the horses that are racing and when people are racing. And that's exactly what you highlighted in your Torah portion. There's an interpretation of this line in Genesis when God says, let us create man or humanity or Adam in our image. And the question about this is, who is God speaking to? Because this is the first creation. Some say God's talking to angels. Some say God is talking in the royal, we let us create But the story I really like is the one that God is speaking to the only other thing that's been created so far, the animals. So when God says, let us create, God is saying, you, human, you, Adam, are created both in the image of an animal, but also in the image of holiness of God. When we act instinctually, we act like animals. But when we choose to be godlike, that's when we become kadosh, holy, separate from our instincts. That's when we're divine, and that's what your Torah portion talked about. How many horses do you know that study Hebrew to better themselves? How many cats do you know gather charity to help their impoverished street cats in the neighborhood? How many lions choose to have pity on the wounded zebra and care for it and restore it to health rather than eating it? Maybe a couple, okay. That, Jake, is what your Torah portion, Kiddushim, is about. You shall be holy because God is holy means that we make moral distinctions and we treat our fellow humans better than animals treat their base instincts. We probably want to steal because we want as much as we can have, but instead we say we will be holy and we will choose to be fair in weights and measures. We want to always make a profit in business, but we know that we have to care for our employees, and so we pay fair wages on time. We want to keep our pacts pure, but we are told instead, love someone who's different than we are, because that's how we build a holy community. Here's a story that we often forget how to be kadosh, and it comes from Israel, so you may not know all the characters, but we'll all get the idea. The rabbi taught, once I was driving along the highway, and a car passed me and cut in quickly in front of me, and I said, stupid Arab kids, they have no respect for the laws of the land, even for traffic laws. They whine that they have no rights, but they don't accept any responsibility. A few minutes later, I found myself stopped at a red light next to the car that had passed me. The driver was an ultra-Orthodox Jew. Once I was driving along the highway, and a car passed me and cut in quickly in front of me, cutting me off, and so I said, stupid ultra-Orthodox Jew, they have no respect for the laws, not even our traffic laws. They think they are holier than the rest of us, that they can run the country that they want, forcing everyone else onto the shoulder. A few minutes later, I found myself stopped at a red light next to that car that passed me, but the driver was a settler, one of the people who live in the West Bank, the disputed territories of Israel. Once I was driving the car along in the highway around a car, and this car cut me off quickly, and I said, stupid settlers, they have no respect for the laws of the land, not even our traffic laws. They think they can hold the rest of us hostage to their religious intransigence about the land, driving us all to disaster. A few minutes later, I found myself stopped at the right lane in the red light next to the car that had passed me, and I recognized the driver from his picture in the business section of the paper. He was a prominent lawyer from the richest suburb of Tel Aviv. Once I was driving my car along the highway, and a car came and just cut me off quickly, and I said, stupid North Tel Aviv snobs, they have no respect for the laws of the land, not even the traffic laws. They throw around their money and their power and treat the whole country as if it was their own private estate. A few minutes later, I found myself stopped at the red light next to my car, and who had passed me? My neighbor. Once I was driving along the highway late to pick up my kid at the bus stop, and I passed a whole line of cars moving so slow that I finally had to cut them off. And a police officer pulled me over after the light. And I said, what, did I do something wrong? Are you kidding me? He said, don't you just see that you cut off that whole line of cars, an Arab, an ultra-Orthodox, a settler, a lawyer, and a local? You almost caused a serious accident. Wow, I said, I didn't see them. I really didn't see them. What does this mean? This story tells us that there will be no peace. There will be no understanding in Israel when people look at each other but don't see persons. They just see labels. They see members of their group, and then they see members of other groups, Arabs, if you're a Jew, or a settler, if you're a resident of North Tel Aviv, or you are ultra-Orthodox, or you are a secularist. In other words, in Israel, there will be no peace until people begin to see each other as persons and not just members of groups. And maybe that's what it means to love your neighbor as yourself. Maybe it doesn't mean you should bring them candies or a Valentine or something. Instead, maybe it just means that we should see other people as a person just like you. And what's true of Israel is surely true of us here in America, Jake. As long as we see people as Republican or Democrat, or black or brown, or white, or gay, or straight, or as anything in between, as Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, as secular, as pro-life or pro-choice, or gun control activists, or pro-Second Amendment advocates, if we label the people, we forget to see them. And as long as we judge everyone by their category or their group, then we will never understand them. Then we'll be like that rabbi who says, I didn't see them. I didn't even see them. So maybe love your neighbor kamocha doesn't mean love your neighbor as yourself, but love your neighbor because he or she, no matter how different they look, are kamocha. They are like you, made in the image of God. Someone striving to be a little better than an animal, someone trying to have a holy life. Jake, I thought it was kind of interesting that you chose to work with animals for your holiness portion, because it's not just animals, it's always fun to pet dogs and play with them. But these are animals that are being trained to be a little bit holy. Animals who are being trained to take care of others. Animals who are trained to bring love and service and help with the human community. And so even your animals have been a little bit elevated by the work that you have done. You have proven yourself to be very conscientious and sensitive and caring about preparing for this day. You've shown sensitivity in honoring the heritage that has been handed down from one side of your family, and show great respect and understanding and openness to the other side of your family, honoring both your parents and all the generations who came before you. And today you have passed a goal to bring you closer, that maybe what we call is the triple crown of Judaism. Because when a tiny baby boy is born, and I imagine this is what it was like for you, parents ask that we hope that that child will reach an age that will have what we call the triple crown of Judaism, that you will live a life of Torah, Chuppah, Ma'asim Tovim, that you will live a life immersed in Torah and study, in a committed relationship someday to build a family of your own and a lifetime of good deeds. Tonight isn't an end for you at all. It is the beginning of a life of kadosh, raising the bar for you, that you can race forward in dignity, compassion, honor, wisdom, and love. And it is for this that we pray for you in front of the open arms. Rise.
La 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 l'chaim to life. La 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 l'chaim to life. La 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 l'chaim to life. L'chaim chaverim. La 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 l'chaim to life. La 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 l'chaim to life. La 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 l'chaim to life. L'chaim chaverim. Life cycles very fast from beginning to the end. Have every moment last and make them count, my friend. La 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 l'chaim to life. La 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 l'chaim to life. La 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 l'chaim to life. L'chaim chaverim. Raise your glass to Adonai and with a joyous cheer, hope and promise for a good life. Wish l'chaim for all to hear. La 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 l'chaim tonight. La 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 l'chaim tonight. La 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 l'chaim tonight. L'chaim chaverim. La 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 l'chaim tonight. La 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 l'chaim tonight. La 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 l'chaim tonight. I'm Haverim.
Bar mitzvah means son of the commandment. In the Jewish community, this day marks a young person's transition into adulthood. It's hard to believe that our little Jakers is entering a new chapter, becoming a teenager and beginning to take on more adult-like responsibilities. When I asked Jake what he thought I should cover in my speech, he said I should talk about how he's evolved his word and how much I love him. Yes, but how do I cram all of that into just a few minutes? Jake's Torah portion instructs us how to be good people. As parents, we try to instill this into our children from an early age. How do we know if we're doing a good job? We might catch a glimpse of it here and there, more frequently as they get older. This is all a part of that evolution that Jake mentioned. I once read an article that hypothesized that the characteristics that aggravate you the most about your child are the very ones that will best serve them in the future. An evolution, if you will. Jake has some qualities that, while they can be frustrating at times from a parental perspective, will no doubt serve him well in the future, as long as he uses them for good rather than evil. For example, Jake can be very persistent, relentless even. A good thing for being an advocate for oneself and going after what you want. Not so good when on the receiving end of a plea for a dog. Jake can also be stubborn, and I can say this because it takes one to know one. A good thing for sticking to your convictions, forging your own path, and not giving too much credence to what others think. Not so good when it results in a battle over something as mundane as wearing sunscreen. Then there are the qualities that are positive by any account, character traits that provide a glimpse into the man he will become. Jake is very caring and loving, providing frequent I love yous and showing tenderness with his grandparents. He loves family movie night and still willingly gives hugs and kisses. He frequently expresses gratitude for the small things, saying thank you for the meals placed before him and assistance provided studying for a test. We have seen him expand his horizons by trying new sports, dipping his toes into what I hope will be a long history of volunteerism, and forming new and strong friendships. He is a kind and loyal friend, quick to make someone smile with a funny joke. From an early age, Jake has been curious about the world and good at figuring out how things work. You know those toys that have the complicated assembly instructions and take forever to figure out? Jake would take the components and figure out the assembly without even reading the instructions. With some help from his dad here and there, he has largely taught himself all kinds of technology. Things I can't even begin to explain. What an awesome skill to have in today's world. Jake, with these personality traits, you can do anything you put your mind to. It might seem like Dad and I expect a lot of you, and that is true, but only because we know you are capable of achieving great things and we have confidence in you. We have loved watching you evolve into who you are today and are excited to see what you do in the future. In trying to explain our hopes for you, I thought I would put things in terms you can understand. Video games. Fortnite. I would imagine almost all of you have at least heard of this game, the objective of which is to survive in a world where others are out to get you. As in real life, sometimes you play as an individual, sometimes as part of a team. Jake, May you be true to yourself and feel comfortable exerting your independence, but also nurture meaningful relationships. Forza Horizon. This is a car racing game, and for those of us who are around in the 80s, it's like pole position. Jake, in life you will encounter both smooth roads and potholes. May you always maneuver around obstacles with grace and resilience, and take time to appreciate the beautiful scenery happening all around you. Minecraft. In this game, players appear in a new world and are challenged to use its resources to build shelter, find food, and craft tools to help them construct the universe they want to live in. Jake, we hope that you discover your life's passion and parlay it into a productive way to build the life and world that not only meets your basic needs, but leads you to a life of joy and fulfillment. Dad and I are incredibly proud of the hard work you have put into preparing for today and are excited to see your evolution into adulthood. We truly enjoy spending time with you. You bring so much joy into our lives. We love you and will always be on your team.
Just a couple more on behalf of Temple Beth Orr. Guess who is a new board member here? You don't know. Your teacher, Evan Weiss, who is going to come up and make our temple presentation. Watch it, or you'll be on the board next.
Jake, on behalf of the board of Temple Beth Orr, as well as your teachers for Sunday school, we're very proud of you for all the work you've done today and over the last year. You'll have to forgive us. When I was a bar mitzvah, guess what I got? A Kiddush cup. Guess what you're gonna get? Yeah, we like our traditions. But today is all about traditions, right? When you turn 13, you get up here, you read. This is the start of you making your own traditions. So on behalf of the board, we'd love to share with you a Kiddush cup and starting those new traditions as you become a man and hopefully make a few more.
So not only is your new Kiddush cup there with your name and this date, it's a special artistic piece made by Rosenthal. And on behalf of the Federation of Cincinnati, the Bettman family donation is to give every bar and bat mitzvah in the community a Rosenthal tzedakah box. This is the box to remind you that today isn't just about you getting gifts, but it's about your giving tzedakah. And the artist, in fact, matches your Kiddush cup, and we now will have a set from the Bettman family, and every bar and bat mitzvah in the community is bound together by the concept that it's not just about taking, but it's about giving, and that's really what you have learned along the way. And so we are so proud that you get these wonderful gifts, which are not just gifts for you, they're gifts for us, because as you raise your cup in joy and celebration with your wonderful family and community, and as you continue to give to our community, we will all be enhanced because of it. So we look forward to including the service, having a great party, and then watching where you go from there. So before we get there, we conclude. Take it away.
We turn to our closing prayers. The Alenu is on page 10. Please rise.
With them
Malchei Hamachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please be seated. We praise the Creator of all, to acclaim the Maker of creation, who made us unlike the other peoples of the world, and distinguished us among the families of the earth. When the world was created, God made everything a little bit incomplete. Rather than making bread grow out of the earth, God made a wheat grow so that we might bake it into bread. Rather than making the earth of bricks, God made it of clay so we might bake the clay into bricks. Why? So that we might become partners in completing the works of creation.
Vayom hahu Yehieh Adonai Echad. Vayom hahu Yehieh Ushmo Echad. V'ne'emar, as it is written, V'ne'emar, let it be said, God rules the earth, and that day God shall be one. V'haya Adonai, the Melech HaKol Haaretz, on that day God's name shall be one. Vayom hahu Yehieh Adonai Echad. Vayom hahu Yehieh Ushmo Echad. Ushmo Echad.
Remember these, our beloved, not to be sad, but to remember. Our sorrow that accompanies their death does not diminish the joyful gift that was their life. Remember their kindness and their nobility and their goodness. They taught us to live in love, inspiring us to the grace of their best lives, to the grace of their best selves. They have showered us with love and light, and as we remember them in our cottage prayer, we bring their light back to raise up our heavy hearts. Please remember.
On this Shabbat, we mark the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Adam C. Nelson, Margaret Karch, Abraham Gorski, Lily Human, Anna Cooperschmidt, Sylvia Steiner, Eloisa de la Cruz, Yetta Hackman, Herman Blatch, Yetta Schwartz, Anna F. Epstein, Dr. Bob Ewing, Pearl Lemberg, Betty Ann Lewick. We mark as well with sadness the recent passing in the past month of Fred Eisenson and Benjamin Michelson, and the passing just this week and the burial on Thursday of Shirley Gilbert.
My family would also like to remember my grandparents, Larry and Maureen Schuler. Please rise for the comments.
Yitgadal v'yitkadosh Shamei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrat yerutei v'yamlim hamutei, v'chayachonu yomechonu v'chayei v'chol beit Yisrael, v'gadav v'yizman karim v'yivru amen. Ye'ei Shamei Rabbah v'orach le'olam kulo me'amaya, yitbarach v'yisparach v'yisparach v'yislamam v'yisnaseh, v'yitmadar v'yitmaleh v'yitmalal v'yei v'yishmar v'yivru. Elam yimkol v'yirchata v'yirchata, v'yishtamota v'nechemata, v'amiram v'yamad v'yivru amen. Ye'ei shalom alalam v'yishamaya, v'chadim aleinu v'yalkol Yisrael v'yivru amen. Say shalom v'ramah, v'yahaseh shalom, aleinu v'yalkol Yisrael v'yivru amen.
May the source of peace bring peace to us, to Israel, and all the world who say amen. Amen. Please be seated. I invite up Carter for the cottage and humble finish.
Natanam, Borei Peri HaGaben. Elohim melech haolam, motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Parents, join us for the Havdalah, the service to end the Sabbath. We give thanks for this special Sabbath day that is now ending. It marks the end of the Sabbath and my bar mitzvah service. It starts a new week in the beginning of my life as an adult. My family is grateful for its many blessings, for peace and joy, rest and refreshment, friendship and love. Most of all, we are grateful that you are with us on this important milestone for me. May the special feelings of this Sabbath remain with us as we enter the new week.
Wine is a symbol of gladness. We gather tonight in celebration to experience the sweetness and the beauty of our friend, family, and community. Blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen.
We savor the scent of fragrant spices, the pleasures of friendship and sharing, of home and family, of giving and loving. The smells and sights of this Sabbath are gifts which will remain in our memories and inspire us for years to come. Blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who creates fragrant spices.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei besamim borei minei besamim. Yanai nai 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 yanai yanai nai 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 yanai nai nai nai.
The candles' intertwining wicks remind us of our own closeness and the bonds of friendship and community. Although after our celebration we will go our separate ways, we will always remain close and cherish the memories which have enlightened this Sabbath. Blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the light of fire.
Yanai nai 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 yanai yanai nai 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 yanai nai nai yanai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei ha'esh borei
We praise the eternal God who has given every created thing distinctive qualities. God has distinguished between sacred and secular time, between light and darkness, between the people of Israel and other people, between the seventh day and the 6 working days of the week. As the Sabbath leaves, may we be strengthened in our resolve to make this world a better place. Blessed is the eternal our God, the Lord of the universe, who distinguishes between sacred and secular time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol La 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Atishbi Eliyahu Eliyahu Agiladi Eliyahu Agiladi Bimeherabe Amenu Yahavo Eleinu Mashiach ben David Mashiach ben David Mashiach ben David Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol Chatoteinu yimchol Zareinu v'chaspeinu yarbeh kacho kavim belayla Shavua tov Shavua tov Shavua tov Shavua tov Shavua tov May God bless you with a happy week of peace. He's happy. And may gladness reign and joy increase. Shavua tov. Shavua tov. Shavua tov. Shavua tov. Shavua tov. Shavua tov, Shavua tov.
You all made it. Congratulations. I just wanted to remind everyone we look forward to seeing you at the Boonshoft, and if Jake's friends could meet us up at the front of the building. All right, yeah, we'll go from there.
I made it. Shavua tov. Have a good week. Thank you for coming to my Baruch service.
Shavua tov. Have a great week. Israel,
Oh, I think I can. Okay, I'll try to gather what I can remember.
By the way, my family
So
is
much.
You did a great job. Great job. And now, you reap the benefits. Go get those Amazon comics.
Yes. I had a hard time finding a cards, right? You can find cards. Okay? So, instead of a card,
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you.
Ami, which was the one where we were all on 3 different keys? I think that was the, no, it was the Ami. We were each on a different key, and it never met. So finally, I just said, I'm coming out with this drawing. I'm gonna do the low key, which is mine. How did this?